All right, let's take a jump forward now about 12 years or so to puberty. And by definition, remember, puberty is the establishment of full hormone or endocrine capability and gamete production by the gonads. In the case of the male, then, that is the capability of the testes to produce testosterone and viable sperm. Now, this time, the testicular production of testosterone requires support of anterior pituitary hormones. And those hormones are LH and FSH. Those two hormones of the anterior pituitary require the hypothalamus to produce GnRH. So we have our classic scheme: hypothalamic hormone, number 1, GnRH, stimulating the production of anterior pituitary hormone, LH and FSH. Those two peptide hormones of the anterior pituitary bind to the receptors in the testes and stimulate the production of hormone 3, testosterone. Actually, it's just a little bit more complicated than that. So let's zoom in on the testes right now and see the roles for LH and FSH. So, schematically drawing two cell types in the testes right here to look at the role of LH and FSH. FSH is going to bind to Sertoli cells. And the role for FSH, binding to the Sertoli cells, is to produce an androgen binding protein. Just abbreviated ABP. The other cell type I've got in there, of course, are the Leydig cells, or the interstitial cells of Leydig. These Leydig cells are controlled by luteinizing hormone to produce testosterone. All right. This testosterone is necessary for the development and maturation of sperm. But remember, that process, the maturation and development of sperm, takes place in the epididymis, in the seminiferous tubules, and then epididymis. The lumens of those structures are aqueous, water-filled. Testosterone, as a steroid hormone, is very poorly soluble, almost insoluble in that environment. It requires binding to that androgen binding protein to increase its solubility and maintain a high concentration in those structures, seminiferous tubules and epididymis, to allow for the full maturation and development of sperm. So, two hormones required in the testes for both testosterone and gamete sperm production. Technically, it's luteinizing hormone that's responsible for the testosterone production. However, the effect of testosterone in the testes is minimal in the absence of the product of follicle-stimulating hormone, and that's that androgen binding protein. So really, we do indeed require both LH and FSH. Also remember, these two hormones, LH and FSH, are controlled in a negative feedback fashion by testosterone. Testosterone gets into the general circulation, has other effects that we talked about in the voiceover slides, and among those other effects is to act back upstream to the anterior pituitary and hypothalamus to exert negative feedback.